Hello racing fans, welcome to another episode of the big Group 1 racing show for 2016/17. This is episode 5C, and in today's episode I'm going to be previewing the Turnbull Stakes. It is one of the highlighted Group 1 races of the Spring Racing Carnival. It's a cracking field this year, so let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into having a look at the 2016 Turnbull Stakes. So the Yellow Glen Turnbull Stakes will be held on Sunday the 2nd of October. That is the day after the 2016 AFL Grand Final. The race will be ran at 3:55 p.m. at the beautiful Flemington Racecourse. You can catch all the action on racing.com 7/2 and also Sky Racing 1. Here is the field. Hartnell highlights the field as favourite, backed by the punters at $2.25. You then have Jamaica, the next best, at $5.50. The United States is at $7. Raw Impulse is at $9.50. Our Ivanhoe is backed by the punters at $15. You then have Set Square at $23. Preferment at $26, as well as Tally. Tarzino, $31. That is amazing considering this horse was looking in some good form a few weeks ago. Happy Trails is at $41. At $51, Sophia Rose. Second Bullet is at $151. And then D Little Engine is rounding out the field on $201. Let's get straight in now to having a look at the field in depth. Now, of course, it's worth mentioning that the Turnbull Stakes is going to be ran over the 2,000 metre distance. And I start with number 1, Preferment, who actually won its last Flemington race in the Australian Cup, which was over the 2,000 metres. Since then, it's kind of fell downhill a little bit. Hasn't done so well. 5th, 4th, 3rd, 7th and 12th out of the 14 horses in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. That was its last 5 races there. 5th in its last race in the Hill Stakes at Royal Randwick. Has Huey Bowman on board. Chris Waller is the trainer. Does like this sort of distance, especially we did see that in the Australian Cup, of course. Won on protest but did well in that race. Like I said, hasn't been in the best of form, but you just can't rule it out. It is a horse who can produce a bag of tricks, especially in these type of races. Number 2, we have the Rosehill Guineas winner of this year, and that is Tarzino, backed by the punters at $31. I'm a bit amazed about that, but I'm not surprised because this horse has been in poor form, especially in its last 3 runs in the Memsie, Mackay and also the Underwood last week. That is 3 quality Group 1 races that it just didn't perform in, but I'm confident over that 2,000 metre distance, which was its last win in the Rosehill Guineas, that it might do a bit better in this race considering the distance. So, yeah, Mick Price trained horse. Craig Newitt is on board. He's been on board this horse for its last 5 races. Can't rule out the 4-year-old. Number 3, we have the 9-year-old Happy Trails, who was backed by the punters at $41, which is no surprise. It's not really in the form it used to be. In its last run in the Maccabi Diva Stakes, came 8th out of the 13 horses. Was heading into that race coming off a large spell. The 2,000 metres I think will suit, but it will be a tough race for this horse, and apparently a Cox Plate is in line for this horse after this race, so I'm not really sure about that. It's an interesting factor though, considering the form of this horse. At number 4, we have Hartnell, a Sydney horse who is looking in great form, great shape, going into this race. First in its last 2 starts in the Hill Stakes and the Champsford. 6th in this race last year, so it rode in the Turnbull Stakes last year and came 6th. Distance will suit. It's in great form. It's one of the chances, and yeah, watch out for it. James McDonald will be on board this horse, as he has been the last 3 starts. Coming out of barrier 4, Can't complain about this horse going into the Turnbull. Number 5, we have the United States, who is backed by the punters at $7. Third favourite in this race. Damien Oliver will be aboard this horse for the Turnbull. Didn't have the best run in the Datto on the 3rd of September. Came 6 out of the 14 horses. I guess that's not too bad considering the distance. I think it will do much better over this 2,400 metres. Of course, its form before that race was not too bad. 2nd, 1st, 2nd and 5th. So one of those was in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. So has the ability to win this. I definitely got to stress that it has the most certain ability to win this race. Number 6, we have Al Ivanhoe, who is backed by the punters at $15. Kieran McAvoy will be aboard this horse for the first time since the Dumbarton Cup in the late stages of May, where the horse actually won that race over the 2,000 metres. It can win over the 2,000 metres, as you just heard there. It's one of the chances, in my opinion, possibly a roughie. The distance will suit, and yeah, I have no complaints about this horse. It doesn't look in bad form at all. In fact, it's won 2 of its last 5 races, and of course, like I mentioned, one of those was the Dumbarton Cup. Number 7, we have Set Square, who is backed by the punters at $23. Luke Nolan will be aboard this horse. 5th in its last run at Flemington. That was in the McKinnon last year. Its last win was in the 2014 Oaks. That's a long time ago. So tough race for this horse. I reckon it will be out fast and out early, and will lead the pack early, maybe in the top 3 in the first, I guess, 500 or so metres. But I don't think it will hold itself down the straight. I think it will find this race pretty tough in the end. Number 8, we have Tally, who is backed by the punters at $26. 2nd in its last race, came last in the Memsie, which was a bit disappointing over the 1,400 metres, but in its last 2,000 metre race was in the Alistair Clark. It actually won that race with Craig Williams on board. Doesn't have Craig Williams aboard this race, but you have to think it's one of the chances for this race, considering its form over that distance. Of course, the form in its last couple haven't been the best, although 3rd it came in the ATC Derby at Royal Randwick in the early stages of April. So the speed map suggests that it will probably be in maybe the top 5 front runners early. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes down the straight. It might just be a roughie to look out for. Number 9, we have Jamaica, who is backed by the punters at $5.50, the 2nd favourite for this race. Loves these sort of distances. Of course, it's won its last race over the 2,000 metres, which was at Caulfield on the 17th of September 2016. It should be out front early. That's what the speed map is suggesting, and I think that will be the case. I'd be surprised if it's at the back in the early stages. I think it'll be at the front and leading. One of the chances, no doubt about it, for the 4-year-old female horse. Number 10, we have Sophia Rose, backed by the punters at $51. In 3 of its races this year, which was in the early part of 2016, it came 1st, 2nd and 1st, and they were all races over the 2,000 metres. So you have to have a look at this horse and say, well, if it can do well over these longer distances, then it might just be a little bit of a shot to win. But you know, the last couple of races it's ran in at Flemington, the Maccabi Diva Stakes was one of them at Flemington, and then the other one at Caulfield in the Memsie, it came 9th and 10th. So it's not really in the best form going into this race, but if you look at the distance, in the 2,000 metre distance or over, it has been a good form. So it's going to be interesting to see how this horse goes. Looking at the speed map, it will be at the back in the early stages of the race, which is interesting. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of a roughie to look out for, but $51, it's probably not the best chance to win the race. Number 11, we have D Little Engine, a 6-year-old male horse who has a really poor form going into this race. In its last 5 races, 6th, 8th, 3rd, 3rd, 7th. Not the best form guide. Damien Lane's on board, coming out of barrier 3. Yeah, backed by the punters at $201. You tell me what you think. Second Bullet, number 12, is another one of those horses that is going into this race with a bit of a poor form guide. Let's face it, backed by the punters at $131. 11th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd in its last 5 races. And last but not least, we have number 13, Raw Impulse, who was actually the 4th favourite in this race. Came first in the Tokyo City race at Morfordville over the 1800 metres on the 17th of September, which wasn't too long ago. 4th over the 2400 metres at a race at Royal Randwick in the late stages of May. Hasn't had a run at Flemington, but looks good over the 2000 metres. So one to watch, I think. Okay, let's get straight in now to having a look at my tips for the Yellow Glen Turnbull Stakes for 2016. I'll start with my first placed horse. I've gone with the United States, number 5. Distance will suit. I reckon 6 in its last race wasn't too good, but that was over the 1600 metres. If you have a look at its form over the 2000 metres, it's been really good, 2nd and 1st in its last two 2000 metre distance. So I reckon this horse, like I said, has the ability to win it. I reckon it will win this race. Second is Hartnell, the favourite. A real great horse who is going into this race with some good form. I reckon it will just get beaten by the United States, but will really take it up to it. And then I've gone for third, Raw Impulse, a very, very good horse to look out for. Hasn't had a run on Flemington, which is the concern, but like I just mentioned, does well over the 2000 metre journey. So that is my tips, and my roughie of the race for this race is our Ivanhoe. I think this horse is fresh, ready to go going into this race. I think it's one of the chances. The distance will suit, I reckon. And, well, first in the Doonan Cup over the 2000 metres. I think it's one to watch. The speed map does suggest, as I have a look, it will be possibly in the top 6 front runners early. Will probably have a good position. Of course, the barrier 1 is an interesting barrier. Not sure if it can win from that, but I reckon it's one of the roughies. And that is it for this episode of the Big Group 1 Racing Show. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, enjoy Turnbull Stakes Day on Sunday. Until next week, I'm Jacob. See you later.